In the last few weeks, Danny has stepped back out onto the grass and is now heading towards a return to full first-team training. We caught up with him at one of his sessions with fellow injury absentees Anton Walks and Jack Watmore.
So Danny, you're back on the grass. Describe to us the feeling when you step back out there for the first time.
Yeah, it's nice to lace your boots up, and get that feeling back where you're going to be knocking the ball about a little bit. Get a good sort of sweat on through doing better kind of work where you're on the grass. Running around rather than in the pool on the bike. So when you look at it that way, yeah, it's a nice feeling to be back there. There's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Excellent. And I know you're obviously not with the first team today, but what's it been like to be back with the first team, sort of in the dressing room, and with Jack and Anton out there today? Get that camaraderie back between you.
Yeah, I mean, you never lose that. You see, obviously around them, at breakfast and lunch and during the various gym sessions that we do. But as I said, to be out on the grass with them, mixing with them a bit more on the grass, like you said. Just makes you feel like you're that little bit more part of it, I guess, and like I said, a bit more light at the end of the tunnel because I say you're passing with them, you're just doing all those normal things which some people might take for granted at times, and so you sort of miss it obviously when you're out and injured, but you appreciate it that much more when you get back out there.
Did it feel that when you step back onto the pitch, all of your hard work in the pool and in the gym sort of paid off? Yeah,
there's a lot of times where you're working by yourself, or just you and the physio or the S&C coach, and there's a reward at the end of it when when you do step out on that grass or eventually step back out on Fratton Park. Unfortunately, for me it won't be this season, but it'll be next season, and that was always pretty much going to be the aim. Even though if there was a couple of more games, couple of more weeks, you never know, I might have maybe sneaked a few minutes or two, but yeah, to finally be out there is great.
Yeah, and following on from that, the club announced some pre-season friendlies this week. Are they sort of the games that you'll be eyeing up to finally get back out there? Yeah,
I should be fit and raring to go as soon as we come back on the 27th of June and be back with the first team. So those games I'll play a part in those games as long as I'm still fit and able to go, which I'm pretty sure I will be. And yeah, can't wait to come back on the 27th of June. I'll be working over the summer 2 or 3 days a week. Have a little break, of course, take the kids away, but I said as soon as we're back on the 27th and those games they come pretty thick and fast, I'll be raring to go.
And from a personal point of view, what are your goals you're setting yourself for next season?
Well, to stay injury free, I think is the first thing that springs to mind, and then to it's pretty much a clean slate for everybody again. You want to be playing the pre-season games, come through those with no niggles and no problems. And be in the squad and then in the team, the first 1 or 2 games of the season, and hopefully stay in the team past that. So that's always the aim, I think, with pre-season, to stay injury free and be playing first game of the season.
And what has it been like from your point of view to have to sit and watch Pompey since December when you got injured? Has it been tough to watch, painful to watch at times? Are there times where you thought I could have come on and made a difference in some of these games?
Yeah, I think you always like to think especially when the lads have we had a couple of spells where we weren't picking up the results that we wanted, that you like to think if you were on the pitch you may have made some kind of a positive difference. It wasn't to be that we just missed out on the playoffs, so you never know. If I was in the team we might have done worse. You never know. Hindsight's a good thing, but yeah, it would have been nice if I was out there. But to watch, it was hard to watch at times when the lads, weren't picking results, and then it's hard to watch. Sometimes when it's great, you feel you're great and happy for the lads when they are picking up results, but you also want to be a part of that. And when you're injured and watching from the sidelines, and it's a strange feeling when the lads are doing great. Obviously, like I said before, you're happy for them, of course, and happy for the coaching staff and the club, but you just don't feel as part of it as much. So it's a strange one.
Definitely. Obviously today you've been out training with Jack Watmore. Has he been giving you any sort of tips and pointers on how, because obviously he's returned from long-term injuries, on sort of what that feeling is like? Yeah,
he's from the moment that I sustained the injury, he was straight into the changing room to see me, and he was at the hospital the next day after the operation, and pretty much most days that we've been in running training, he's been there. Just asking how I'm all right, asking how I am mentally, because he knows exactly every stage what that I've gone through or was going to be going through, and then to be out to the grass together. Unfortunately, he sustained a groin injury himself, and that's presented the opportunities for us to sort of work together, which has been great because we're probably at similar stages in terms of our rehab, where if say there were a couple of weeks left, we'd probably both be in contention to play. So I've been managed to tap into his sort of experience, which has been great.
Excellent. And again, following on from that, when you get back on there, how much are you looking forward to your first big 50-50 or big tackle? Are you relishing it, or are you sort of looking a bit nervously towards it?
I'm not sure. I've not thought about it too much. It's probably when I spoke to Jack about it. He felt it was one of those where he, had to almost sought after a tackle a little bit, just to almost test it. And as soon as you get through that and you know you're okay, then you're good to go, and that's sort of out of your mind. So I'll probably I'll probably sought after a tackle or two, just to. And I mean, those opportunities will present themselves in training anyway. So I don't think it'll be a case of heading into a game where I'm not too sure, I'm not 100% if it's okay. If I'm not 100%, then I'll be doing myself an injustice and the team as well, because I don't want to be coming off after 10 minutes and then Gaff has to make a sub. So that's not what you want. I'll make sure that it's 100% right heading into my first game.
Excellent. And then finally, we've got to talk about the hair. You said you weren't going to cut it till you played again, but I've noticed you've gone for it. Was it a welcome change?
Yeah, it was getting a bit too long. Just didn't really know what to do with it. Lads were on me a little bit, so I thought I was going to play Peterborough, so I got it cut. But no, it was way too long. But just happy to get it off and back to normal.
Perfect.